I'm Majid Niroumand, the main character of the movie Davandeh, Amiro. The way I got involved in this project was I actually had no acting background. None of anybody in my family was involved in the movie, so I actually used to do a lot of track and field. I was an active teenager, and I know Mr. Naderi was looking for an actor to be Amiro in his movie, and he was looking for an actor in the south of Iran, where the movie was primarily filmed. As he's walking by the newspaper stand, actually my picture was on the cover of a sports magazine because we had some national track and field competition, and my photo was there. So he looks at the photo of the magazine and he says, "This is my Amiro." So he travels back to Tehran and he kind of goes to the Track and Field Federation, gets my name and address, and one day I'm coming back from school and I see a couple of cars in front of our house, and he's standing there waiting for me to come home. You know, it was naturally very exciting to me having an opportunity to be in movies and work with somebody like Naderi. But for my parents, they were naturally a little bit hesitant. You know, I'm only 13 years of age, and, you know, this movie required that I travel quite a bit. So they needed to think about what happens to my school and what does this mean. And but after a while, because my brother also came with me as we traveled to do shooting for the movie, so ultimately they were okay with it. I really didn't know what to expect, and initially when we went to the south and we were starting to film, I was a little bit shy of camera, didn't know exactly what was expected of me, but I think I give a lot of credit to the director, Mr. Naderi. I think the guy is a genius, is a talent. So initially we had to talk quite a bit about what the expectations were, who Amiro really was, what we needed to accomplish. So gradually it started to sink in, and kind of I became a lot more comfortable with my role and who I was. We traveled about 6 months. So we started from one city, one of the ports in south of Tehran, and we traveled gradually. I think Naderi exactly knew what he wanted. He wanted exactly the scene that would fit that specific spot in the movie. So that required us to travel a lot. I was away for a few months. Things were planned, but a lot of times things happened not really the way we had planned it. And you know, for example, we were shooting the movie during the war, and in one of the scenes, we were informed that the Iraqi planes were going to bomb the area that we were at, exactly where we were shooting certain scenes that you see the train. We were really lucky because the bomb landed in a mud area and didn't kill us. Otherwise, we would have all been dead. And we stopped the shooting. They said they were going to bomb that exact location the very next day, but guess what? We were there the very next day exactly doing the same shooting. Actually, to this day, I still remember like a slow motion in my mind that how, you know, the mods were flying in the air and everybody kind of trying to run to a direction. And I think I was in a shock at the time. You know, I wasn't able to talk for quite a while until, you know, we left the location, or the scene that you see from, you know, the waves hitting the rocks, and I'm just reading the alphabet in front of the water. And if you pay attention, in one of them, I think it was cut a little bit too quickly, but when the wave comes and I'm reading the alphabet, I almost died in that scene because a couple of times it was so strong that threw me and hit me against the rocks, and I was kind of trying to get myself out of the water. A lot of the scenes we really didn't have the luxury of that type of a preparation, so we had to kind of move along. A lot of times we were on a fast-paced kind of a work schedule, so it just depended on where we were, what we had to work with. You know, I was away from friends and family at that age, 13, trying to understand what this all meant, trying to understand my role, yet it was during school time, so I still had to dedicate time. I had a private teacher who traveled with me, but had to get used to. So it was initially kind of overwhelming until I got into my role and who really Amiro was. He was this ambiguous kind of a role or movie for me initially, but the more I got into it, I understood. So it was exciting at the same time. You know, I'm here doing this feature film and you know, meeting new people and doing different things, but it was also very difficult a lot of times because we had to go back, repeat a few things initially until I kind of got adjusted into my role. It seems as if it was so easy, but it wasn't. They were all local kids. I became naturally very close friends with Musa, the other character in the movie, but I knew all the other kids in the movie, and we had a great relationship. We would talk, and I think after the movie ended, a while after that, I tried to go back to south of Iran to see if I could find them. I saw a couple of them, but a lot of them I could not find. So, but after that, naturally, every contact was, I mean, I didn't know them except during the movie. Who Amiro is and what this all means. And I tried to fit into the role of becoming really that individual and who Amiro really represents. So, you know, after a while, I kind of got really into who the character was, and it became very comfortable for me to kind of be Amiro. The very interesting thing that happened in my life, very unusual, but I think about that quite often, is my life in reality became Amiro, and that's very interesting. I played that role, I knew who Amiro was, but after the movie ended and I took my own journey of leaving Iran in 1987 and all the struggle and the difficulties that I had, and I had to go through a lot of difficult times, and then at a later age start school again and go back to school. My favorite parts of the movie, actually there are a number of scenes. One I really enjoy is the part that when Amiro buys the magazine and the guy says, oh, everybody your age can read, you can't read, and then you see in the next scene, you know, he is walking on the rocks by the water and he's just tearing those magazines, and then you have Tangerine Dream music going in the background and he's very upset with himself. Why can't I read? For me, that was really a major shift happening within Amiro. For me, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I think everything worked. That state of mind I was in as Amiro, and the music, the scenery, it was just great. I think the movie is very complicated, more than just being a kid movie. I think really for me, it's a demonstration of life in general, challenges, and you know, what are the proper ways for you to really work towards your ambition, whatever it may be. If it's, you know, screaming at a ship or yelling at a small airplane, and you know, wanting to get away, wanting to do things differently, and yet you're stuck and really don't have that mindset to do things to reach to where you want to be. I think the movie talks about education, you know, educating yourself and creating a better future for yourself. The last scene where the plane comes up and he says the alphabet. Yeah. So to me, first of all, we filmed that in the main international airport in Tehran. So we had to kind of wait for weeks, if I'm not mistaken, maybe months, for a particular day so they could cancel certain flights, so for us to have permission to do that. So I think, and we shot that in one day, I believe. It was an incredible scene. For me, Amiro kind of, you know, running and having this dream of smaller planes throughout the movie, and at the end when he's able to read the alphabet in 4 seconds, and having this gigantic plane come from middle of nowhere above his head, and you see that significant shift from that little plane to this massive plane when he basically masters the alphabet. I think to me that's an incredible scene. It was very positively received internationally. In Iran, I think people who were in the cinema, they knew Naderi. I think this was one of the movies that kind of started a new level in the Iranian cinema, in my opinion. Not because I was the actor, but I do believe this was. And after The Runner, a year later, I worked again with Mr. Naderi on our second film, Water, Wind, Sand. Where I am right now, I need to mention it because I feel I love where I am, where I live in Southern California. It's been really a very comfortable place I call home. It's been an interesting journey. Yeah.